Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Curly Confessions. We are on episode 4 today. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. I know it's been a lot. There's a lot has been going on recently. And to be completely honest, my podcast hasn't been my main priority. And I apologize. I am sorry. But the thing is we have competition coming up very, very soon. And my weekends when I usually record are dedicated to all of my kids and making sure they're ready to go on stage. And right now they're my main priority. But I figured out a way to get my podcast situated to where I could film more episodes before I post them. So that's a good thing about being a first time content creator and especially a podcaster. You kind of get a feel of how your scheduling will get to look like. And I finally figured out my scheduling, scheduling for the podcast. So I have a set schedule. I'm ready to post on a normal rate so we could have good episodes and we do not have delays like we've had. So I'm glad we're here back again. And today I have a really fun episode for you. Today, it's all about finding the one. Guys, to be completely honest, I haven't found the one yet. I thought I have multiple times. But I feel like in my heart, I'm in such a good space. And in my age, I'm in such a good space to find what I really want in a person. And it's kind of hard sometimes, I think, being 22 and people are finishing up college. Some people don't want to settle down. Some people are having families. It literally is like a whole whirlwind being at this age because you kind of get into this mindset that you maybe not be ready for things or you're ready for things or you feel like you're behind or you're really far ahead. And I feel like in relationships, it should never be like that. And I feel like having a healthy one is a very big thing. And that's what we're going to kind of dive into today. To start off, I kind of want to state some things that I look for in healthy relationships that might help you. I wrote those down in my own handwriting. I wrote a lot for each category. I'm going to look down and glance down so you guys can see. So the first one is respect. The first thing is people should respect each other's boundaries, opinions, and feelings. If someone consistently puts you down, ignores your boundaries, or makes you feel small, that's a red flag. So having that respect for one another is huge, I believe, and respecting each other in a relationship because it's two people in one. So you want to make sure that you have that good set of respect in a relationship. Number 2, trust. Without trust, there's nothing to build on. If you always feel like you have to second guess someone's words or actions, it might not be the right relationship for you. Having trust in one another is huge, and being able to know that whatever they're doing or whatever you're doing, there's a good amount of trust that you guys know what's going on. Also, being a reliable person that if they need someone to trust in, you could be there. Trust is huge too. My favorite, communication. Communication. If you feel like you can't talk to someone about how you feel without it turning into an argument, that's something to pay attention to. Good communication isn't just about talking, it's about listening and understanding too. I find in a lot of relationships that communication could be a deal breaker or it's a really good thing. And I have not found a place where there's a happy medium. And with that being said, I saw a lot of relationships in high school with friends. I've seen a lot of relationships with people in college. And the biggest thing that I noticed that works is having healthy communication, being able to communicate with one another. Like if I'm upset about something, I would want my partner to understand or not understand, but also be there and we could communicate it, even if he doesn't understand or vice versa. You know, having that communication, being able to interpret each other's feelings, actions, and being able just to communicate those is a huge deal breaker for me. I need healthy communication in a relationship, and it's huge. Second thing, support. The right people in your life will want to see you succeed and grow. They'll push you to be better, not hold you back. Oh, this is not the last one. But support. I've had relationships in the past, and we'll dive into it, that did not support me in my dreams. And that is a huge deal breaker because you feel so pushed down by them, and especially somebody that you look for like to be that person to help support you and also make you into a better person. So having the best support and having the support with one another and being there with each other is a huge thing. Have good support. Have a good support system, and if you have a good support system, you will succeed and be the best person you want to be. Next, balance. A relationship shouldn't feel like a one-way street or one-sided. Both people should be putting in effort, whether that's checking in, making time for each other, or just being present. Have a good balance. This was hard for me in high school to balance like hanging out with people and dance and stuff like that, but now having that balance is a huge thing. Make sure you guys are able to see each other, the small things. If they wanted to, they would. And I had to learn this, and it is true. If they wanted to, they would. So make sure you balance your time and energy for them, and also they balance their time and energy for you. So those are my things that I look for, but we're going to dive into that right now and dive into everything, stories, all that stuff. And I'm so excited. So with the rest of this episode, now that I stated everything that I look for in a healthy relationship, we're going to dive into every single one. This one's going to be a little bit different because usually I have notes to guide me. Today is just free for all. I'm just going to be talking, literally just talking to you guys. And I'm kind of nervous because usually I like to have like a set schedule, not set schedule, but a set like, okay, Kayla, this is the stories you want to talk about that and kind of go off script if I need to. But this is like for real. But we're going to talk about this. So we're going to be talking about respect. What I learned in a relationship is having respect. I've been in situations where I've talked to a guy and they have not respected me in any way. They're actually very disrespectful to me, disrespectful to my family, the way they acted and the way they treated me. And that really, really set me off. And I did not like that. I didn't. There's been a lot of occasions where the respect just wasn't there, you know? So, for example, I was talking to this person, okay? And the most respectful thing to do, I feel like in any situation, is to be honest and to be upfront with your feelings and be respectful. Do not settle for anything less. I had to learn that. And people are like, Kayla, you're too picky. I'm like, I'm not too picky. I'm just not settling. That's something I am not doing. I'm going to pick these things out, and I want this in a person. And if it takes a million years, then it takes a million years. And if I end up single and dying, I'll be happy knowing that I tried. Okay? So the first thing is that I really, really pay attention to in that situation was boundaries. Them not knowing their boundaries was a big thing. With me, with respect, especially a girl who might be like inexperienced or anything like that. And if you're getting with a guy who's experienced, you need to set boundaries to what you're comfortable with. I remember the first person I really ever talked to, they like just kept talking about things that I did not want to do. And I was like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about this. This is not okay. And I never set those healthy boundaries. And they kept asking, and it made me feel uncomfortable. I never did anything, by the way, but it made me feel uncomfortable, and it made me feel like I was losing the relationship. And it should never make you, don't make someone pressure you into doing something you're not comfortable with. And on top of that, there's been times where like I would have like my relationships over and they wouldn't be like respectful. They would like just come into my house, not say hi to my parents, or like just like be like rude to like my sister and do things like that because they thought it was funny. And those are the boundaries that I did not let them cross. Once that happened, goodbye and gone. Set those boundaries and let them be respectful. I feel like being in a relationship, you need to find a person that's respectful. And if you start to see those red flags early, don't justify them. Realize that they're there and make the decision according to you. And if I saw those red flags, boy, they're gone. Bye-bye. I did not like that. And I'm glad I didn't settle, and I'm glad I noticed those at a young age and didn't deal with those boys because they're boys, they were not meant. So the next thing is going to be trust. Trust is huge for me, and I feel like you could trust somebody and have all these, like, know them for a long time. And yeah, you could know them for a long time, this, that, or whatever. But do you really trust them? Like, do you really feel like they're going to be there for you in situations and you could trust them to do whatever? I get so angry at this all the time still when I think about it, because I was like, Kayla, what were you doing? Not angry at the situation, but angry at myself because I should have just dropped it and not let it go on for so long. But there was a situation where in high school where I was talking to this boy, and we were talking for a very, very long time. And for a very, actually really long time, like 6 months or something, 7 months. We weren't actually together, but he wanted to date me, and I knew that for a fact. And I was like, like I was so nervous, like actually committing to someone at a young age because I was like, are they going to be like the one for me? Like, is this the person I want to be? Like my first person, my first love, my first boyfriend, everything. And that's what I would think. I overthought a lot when I was younger, but I was really thinking, I was like, okay, I'm going to work for this and try to make it a relationship. So in high school, there used to be these like dance parties, okay? And they weren't like actual parties, like no alcohol was involved. Well, I knew the people that I hung around with at the party and the parties that were had, they said that there was no alcohol involved. But high schoolers can be sneaky, so I really don't know. But in high school, I went to this party and it was like a dance party and it was fun. And I saw this guy that like, and we were talking for a long time, like beforehand, like friend wise. And I was like, oh my gosh, hey. And we like kind of hit it off or whatever. And I saw him and we were like already talking about kind of by that point. And I saw him and I said hi. Later in the party, I hang out with my friends and then I come back and he's dancing with one of my friends. And he like stares at me and he's just like, yeah, I'm doing that. Like I like even though we're talking, I'm going to still talk to other girls. Respectable, like try to find your own. But like I was like, "Oh, so he feels comfortable enough." Like I purposely when I try to date somebody, and I really think that they're going to be the one to be serious, I really try to commit to them. And that's what he told me. And I believed it. And then he's over here dancing with these girls in front of me and like just like trying to act nonchalant about it. And I was like, boy, bye. I'm not dealing with that. So then later, I leave and he tries to apologize and I take him back. Me being a freshman, sophomore, I took him back. No, I was a sophomore. I took him back. I was like, oh, why did I do that? Like why? And come to find out, we're like texting and late at night after a game. I saw him at a football game and we were texting. And by all means, he goes on calls me. He's like, Kayla, I cheated on you. Like right when we started to take things serious. I was like, is my camera okay? Yeah, it's okay. He's like, I cheated on you, kind of. Like, I hooked up with this girl, blah, 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 blah. Like, I just wanted to let you know. Boss me. I was like, okay, we're done. You're not talking to me. I'm deleting every single conversation that we had. We're done. We're over. Blocked him. Boy, bye. He's like, are you seriously, you want to do that? And I was like, yes. If you tell me you're cheating on me, we're not doing that, because the trust was there like already in the beginning. And then he did something like that again. And I was like, I'm never going to trust this person. And find those red flags early, because if you see consistent, once is a mistake, we say this in dance, once is a mistake, two is a coincidence, third time is your fault. Like you make that choice. That is what happened. It's a coincidence. Yeah, he did it again. But guess what? I'm not letting it be your choice. That's your choice that you cheated a third time. I'm not doing that. It should have been the first time. And that's just like in my heart, that was really hurtful as a young girl, because you're like, oh my gosh, I really like him. Make sure you set up boundaries in your trust. If you start to see that trust is lacking, either confront the person about it or just let it go if you really think that's how the person's going to be, because I wasted my time on this person and it didn't even work. And that's even happened before too. I don't know what I was doing with thinking, I don't know what I was doing. Obviously, we're in high school. Things are different. We change in college. But I put a lot of my trust into boys that really turned out and disappointed me, like a lot of the time. And I was like, oh my goodness, this guy went around and did this. Like, what? Like, what is he doing? More like kind of recent too. Like, I put my trust in guys and I found out like the things that I would tell them, like in the relationship, they would go around and say. And I feel like that was like very immature of them, because on the other hand, I never did that. I never sat down with them and told them personal things about their life, but they did vice versa. And honestly, like I'm not even mad. I'm just like disappointed, because I'm like, I thought you were better than that. Just make sure when you find someone, you could be like, hey, I could trust them to not do dumb things. I could trust them to keep our relationship, the things that need and are vital in a relationship, that are built on a relationship of trust, are not going to be outed to the world. And then on top of that too, just making sure you could genuinely trust in that person, because I wasted a lot of my time on boys that, one, they were not trustworthy, and two, they would just like go around and like spill your business, especially in high school. Boys in high school, I'm sorry boys if you're listening to this, but girls, boys in high school, or whoever you talk to in high school, can be, and I'm not saying girls do this too, but I'm just saying a lot of stuff gets aired out about things that they do. And I always found it in me going to high school, I always found it consistently with boys. So if you want to be a better boy, or girls, if you want to look for a better guy, make sure you find someone who is going to genuinely care about your relationship and make your relationship your own and not for the world. Because you could trust all these people on the outside and tell them all these things about your relationship, or they can too, but it just ruins that genuine connection. And also, it gets spinned into different things that people say, a lot of this stuff, especially when your relationship gets aired out. And I feel like I always wanted to do a soft launch boyfriend, and not like, as much as I wanted to post my boyfriend, I wanted to keep our relationship kind of private, because people like to say things and people like to have opinions, and especially in high school. College, not so much, but people in high school, if you're in high school, they like to have opinions on your relationship, so leave it alone. Like, don't go around spilling everything like to people. Like, for example, me and this boy had a fight and I told it to my mom. And I love my mom, don't get me wrong, but every time my grandpa's out, I left him alone for a little bit. I was like, can I record my podcast? And he's like, yeah, sure. I'm going to be out in the kitchen. And now I hear things dropping. How funny. No, but as much as I love my mom, I used to tell her things about boys, and she's like, did he do this again? And I was like, that was a one-time thing, like a one-time slip up. And I just would get so frustrated, because then she would consistently think that he was doing that thing, or like if you tell people. So make sure when you're in a relationship, you have trust in your relationship, to build trust, one, and also trust each other in certain things. I kind of went off topic a little bit, but yeah, that's just my little rant on that one. The third thing is communication. I am huge on communication. Kayla did a big one this year. I was so communicative with the last boy I talked to. So communicative. I told him how I was feeling in certain situations. As much as I think he's like a cool guy, I felt so good communicating how I was feeling. Like, this time was so different. I was so happy with myself, especially because he was like older than me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm communicating better. Like, what? So good. But anyways, communication is really, really, really a hard thing sometimes, especially when you're first trying to navigate it. I say, if you want to get in a relationship, have good communication and build off that. If you communicate well, it will always be there. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to communicate better. And I've done that with all my most recent whatever, and it's worked chef's kiss. There's been times, don't be scared to share your feelings, especially when you're in a relationship, because they're your other person. And even when you're trying to build something, even if you're not comfortable yet in your relationship or whatever, be able to start having healthy communication. If you're like, hey, I like this, or this is something like this, or if they're like, hey, I like it when blah, 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 blah. Hey, I like it when I like words of affirmation. Be able to communicate your things and do things like that. So that is huge and big on my end. In high school and in college, girl could not communicate for anything. There's been times where I really liked a boy and I wish I could communicate it with them. Like, there's been so many chances where I've talked to guys too. I'm not over here, like, by the way, I'm not over here talking to like everyone. I want to keep this. I'm thinking like span of me being a freshman in high school to almost being a senior in college. Big gap. So don't think I'm like dropping and talking to all these people. I'm not that girl. If you're that girl, that is for you. But for me, I can't do that. I can't. That ain't me. I can't talk to a lot of people. I put my heart too much into relationships that I value having, not talking to that many people. But the biggest thing is in high school, oh my goodness. There's been like 4 times I could think of like actual genuine guys, and if I was just open and communicative with them, I could have had a good, healthy relationship with them. But some of the times I couldn't. Like, I couldn't communicate how I was feeling. I couldn't communicate that I liked this person, or I couldn't communicate I didn't like when they did this or that. Some things that I wish that could be redone and learned sometimes, because I was like, I wish Kayla would have done that, and I feel like it would have helped me later in life. But now, being the age that I am, I'm glad I learned it in a new stage of life and how to have better communication as an adult. So yeah, like now, like for example, me and this boy were talking for a while, for a little bit, like getting to know each other. And the biggest thing is I like communication. and I'm busy and he was busy a lot of the time. So trying to find that good balance of hanging out and doing stuff like that. And we could sit and we could actually like talk a lot. The biggest thing that I wish I did was ask questions more, because he would ask me a lot of questions and I would just talk a lot. And I was like, I wish I was able to ask him more questions about himself and not just like, that was a big thing that I learned. And I was like, dang, I should have done that more. And also been a little bit more open, because I was like, in the back of my head, I was like, he's just gonna go and find somebody else, getting open and honest. So I never really like fully committed into anything, because I was like, if I do anything, like I'm just gonna get too attached, and then if he leaves, I'm just gonna be more devastated and heartbroken. So I was like, and I really genuinely liked him. I met him through doing something that I never thought I would do, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, he's a cool guy. Like, I like getting to know him. He's nice. He's met my parents, my sister, and it was like a really, really good experience, I would say. But the thing is that there is a good few amount of days where me, I value even the smallest bit of communication, even if it is for a day, right? Like, I understand no service, can't talk, blah blah blah. But the biggest thing I really genuinely think and want, not think and want, but the biggest thing that I want is being able to just be like, even just a simple text message like, hey, I had a really tired day today. Sorry I didn't text. Completely fine, especially when they're out of town and not doing it. Like, they're out of town and not talking to you. We talked almost every day. And this person told me, they're like, my biggest, they're like, maybe these are the red flags that I didn't see. But when I asked him what his red flags are, he kind of said communication. And that's really big for me. But yeah, I was just kind of like, oh my goodness, like, this is exactly what he told me is happening. Like, he wasn't communicating with me. And I sent him a nice text message, and we ended very mutually, like, very kind. Like, he was like, hey, like, like, no, I texted him first. And if he tries to spin it, boy, I have the text messages to prove. So don't even test me. Just kidding. But yeah, I texted him and said like, hey, I really value open communication. This is what I feel, and blah, 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 blah. I respect your decision, blah. He's like, oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, you're a great person. I was like, he's a great person too, blah, blah, blah. And we ended things, and we still cheer each other on from afar, and it's like good. Like, we ended mutually and good. And I feel like being able to communicate that made me like have a weight off my chest and be able to go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Being able to have healthy communication is a huge thing as well. But yeah, communication is a big thing for me. I feel like it might not be a big thing for other people, but it is for me. And I feel like it helps a lot of healthy relationships and having good, healthy relationships. Being able to communicate, because, oh my goodness, the times in high school where I would talk to a guy and we did not communicate and we'd fight. Oh my gosh, there was this one time. I was a freshman in college. This boy was a senior in high school. And he was a grade under me. No, I was a senior in high school. He was a junior. Senior? Yeah. See, we were hanging out from my senior year to my freshman year, because I did community college in his senior year. And yeah. And whatever. Whoa. Sorry, I went on a little whirlwind rant, and I was like, oh my goodness, some of these facts are not right. So I had to resit and reevaluate everything. So I met this boy when I was a senior in high school, and he was a junior in high school. We hit it off. We talked. We were like, oh my gosh, we had the same music take, this, blah, 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 blah. And we actually met on a 2-man. Oh my goodness. I don't even think it was a 2-man, but like it looks like a 2-man probably. So it was me and my friend from high school. She was talking to one of the boys, and I was talking to we weren't talking, but they were talking first, and then I went with her. He brought him, and like we hit it off kind of. We made TikToks, blah, 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 blah. Oh my. I sit back. I wish I could really just sit down with him, because after these situations, we stopped talking with each other and became friends, but me and this boy would still fight when we were friends. So I really got, and I had to, oh my goodness. I look back and I was like, what was going on? And I was a senior, and I kind of like am just in shock about everything, because I'm like, what was going on? So to begin, first off, I'm just laughing because I was like, what the heck were we doing? we met, whatever, we hit it off. We hung out at my house one time. We kissed, me and this boy, and I was like, oh my goodness, how funny. And they would actually like just like come, him and that guy would come over. We actually became good friends. But then I remember we hung out, and then he's like, hey, I really don't want anything with you. After he sat in the back seat of the car with me, cuddling me while we are driving, and then he takes me out of the car. My friend goes inside my house. The guy friend goes inside my house, and then he's sitting out there with me telling me he doesn't want anything. And I was like, okay. But then he would constantly flirt with me and be like, oh, it's really cute when you do that, or this and that. And I was like, what is going on? Because I was like, why is this guy acting this way? You know, whatever. So come to find out, he never really wanted anything serious with me. And then all of a sudden, he pops out with a girlfriend while we're hanging out. And after he's flirting with me, and I was like, what? Very immature. But anyways, I was like, yeah, I'm never going to date this guy. But hey, flirt for fun, I guess. So we started flirting for fun, whatever. And then we ended because we got in this like huge fight. And I was like, not huge fight, but I was like, I'm not hanging out with them anymore. So I stopped hanging out with him. And then after that, I actually started talking to somebody new for like a short period of time, maybe like a month and a half. Ended, and then we started hanging out with them after I graduated, and I was like, what the heck is going on? So we hung out with them, everything was cool, and then we went to a soccer game, and it was like me and my best friend, and then the friend I had in high school, and them two. We went to like the soccer game, we're all hanging out, and then we get in the car because we all got in a fight, all of us did. And then he comes up and tells me, he's like, it should just be your fault for getting attached. And I was like, okay, guys, sorry I ruined our friendship, all of our friendships, because it was my fault I got attached. Because he was flirting with me again. And then I would wear like an off-the-shoulder shirt like this. He'd be like, put it up. Like, boy, what? And we would fight all the time because we could not. If I just communicated with him, I'd be like, hey, I like you. You either need to stop flirting with me or this. Have healthy communication. Because, boy, oh my goodness, the amount of times that we fought with each other was literally insane. I still am shocked, like, about. I think now it's like a laughing matter, like I can laugh about it. But then I was like, what is going on? This guy doesn't like me. He wants me one second, then he doesn't. Very indecisive. And so just have healthy communication so that doesn't happen with you, because oh my goodness. But actually, if I wasn't in a relationship, not relationship, but like talking, whatever the heck that was with that boy, we would have actually had a really good friendship with each other. But he shouldn't have kissed me. Multiple times. Whatever. Boy, bye. Now we're going to be talking about support. Support is a huge thing. Having a good support system is good, especially if you're looking for a partner. Having a good support system. Making sure that they are encouraging you, pushing you to be better. This is how I think of support. Supporting means they're going to support you in your ambitions. They're going to support you in what you believe in and support you in your dreams. Huge, right? I think that's everybody wants that in a relationship. But they should not be supporting you, and what I mean by this is they should push you to be better. I've had relationships with boys where they did not push me to be better. They would leave me stagnant. I feel like our relationship was not going anywhere. I would tell them about like dance, and they'll be like, okay, cool. Or like I was like, oh, how's this going? And I'll try to be supportive of them. Oh, tell me about it. How's it going? And they would not turn around and do the same thing. And I think it's crazy because my sister told me about this because she was like talking to someone at like this point in time a while ago. And they were like, she was telling them about dance because I was in her shoes when I was younger, when your like dance schedule's filled up for like 12 hours on the weekends sometimes. And they're like, your dance schedule could be different. And people don't understand dance takes up a lot of your time. And if you're an athlete too, you know, like when you're in season, it's really hard sometimes to keep relationships because you're going and doing all this stuff all the time, and practices, extra practices, workouts, things like that, competitions, events, and doing things and games and all. And I heard her say something. She's like, oh, this boy was so frustrating. He was telling me about dance and how I usually have dance from 3 to 5 or 3 to 7. And it was from like 11 to 9. And he was getting all mad at me because he didn't understand. And then he was telling me about dance and not supporting me, that I should just blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my gosh, for real? I remember that. So just remember, like, they should be supporting you, especially in things like, I want to support my significant other or my partner in something and push them to be better. And like, yeah, take that opportunity or do that or do stuff like that. But I want them to do the exact same thing for me, you know? So make sure you have that person, make sure you have that support, because it's huge and it's a big deal. Last but not least, balance. This kind of goes with supporting, having a good balance. I've talked to boys where they're like, they couldn't balance a relationship and it was really, really hard. And I figured out if I, I heard this on TikTok, and I might be wrong from getting my information on TikTok, but if they wanted to, they would. And I had a good experience where, okay, I talked to multiple guys before, and I told them my biggest fascination is F1. I love F1 racing, okay? I want to go to an F1 race someday. I love cars. I love F1 cars. I love the race. I love watching it on F1 TV. I set up my bedroom. I put it on my TV. I lay back. I keep my socials open to look at McLaren, Ferrari. I look at McLaren, Ferrari. Who else do I watch? Well, McLaren and Ferrari, because I really love Lando Norris, and I love that him and Oscar are together because they actually make a good team. I'm really upset because Carlos and Charles Leclerc are not together for Ferrari, and Carlos went to Williams with Alex Albon, and Carlos is with him. But I was so sad that they let Carlos go. But now Lewis Hamilton is driving with Ferrari, so this is going to be a good year. But I told this person how much I loved F1 racing, and this is the first time out of the boys that I've talked to where he was like, let's watch an F1 race together. Cleared his day and came and watched one with me. I was like, green flag! And balancing that with, he was like, oh yeah, I'm working on this project, busy. These are the days that I'm free. Let's hang out and we're going to do it this day. And like when we would plan, he would tell me. Very mature, loved it. But then there was also times where I'd be like, let's hang out. Okay, tell me when. And I'll be like, okay, this day. I'll see. Do you know if somebody says I'll see, it'll never happen? And sometimes I used to say that I'm sorry if I said that to you. You know it probably won't happen unless like you text them again and you really are seeing. But sometimes like plans just don't follow through, and like trying to balance that with each other, or like trying to balance like also work in a relationship or dance in a relationship is hard, and doing stuff like that. So just try to find a relationship and figure out things that are good at balance. You know, like if, for example, like for me, there's been times where I want them to come with me to do something, and they would come and do something with me.
Are you tired of your daily routine lacking curls and confessions? Do you find yourself tirelessly scrolling through social media, yearning for a chance to listen to some curly wisdom? Well, I have news for you! Introducing the Curly Confessions Instagram page. It contains all things curly, quirky, and confessional. Follow us for some behind the scenes, see my adventures, and my misadventures. Do you lie awake wondering, what does Kayla do when she's not recording her podcast? Well, wonder no more. Follow my personal Instagram page, Kayla M. Raymond, to find out all fun things that I do behind the scenes of my daily life. But don't miss out and hit that follow button. Thank you for listening to my Justin. Now back to you, Kayla.
I just love her. I love her so much. She is just an it girl. If you guys want more commercials, please let me know, because I'll holler at her so she could make more. All right. But what I was saying is, yeah, balance is a huge thing. I feel like it's very essential for a healthy relationship. I feel like working towards that and working towards finding a healthy balance between the both of you could be really essential. But yeah, today was just me kind of explaining what I look for and help me find the one. If you guys see somebody and you're like, hey, my brother or my who knows, or I know this person and they fit all these check marks, send them my way. Please. Actually, no. I don't know. Am I in my healing era? I don't know if I'm in my healing era, but I'm kind of in my grind era, like getting my work done and doing things like that. So, but yeah. I just love talking on podcasts. It's just so much fun. I feel like this is such an outlet for me, like being so for real. If you know me, you know how much of a chatterbox I am, and this is like just in my avenue. Like I could sit and talk for days. And I wish I could have gone in depth more about like relationship funny stories, but also I don't want to put them on blast either. Yeah. If I talked about you today, no hard feelings. You guys are just great. I'm doing my own thing. We've all grown up. We've all done things. So don't hate the player. I don't know. Anyways, no, but yeah, I just wanted to say thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next Tuesday. And if you're really looking for finding a relationship, to each their own. My things are not your things, you know, so just figure out what works best for you and what makes your relationship healthy. But I will see you guys next episode. Bye, everyone.